Good evening. Welcome to Investigator News, World News. And I put Gaza Live on my uh, show tonight. It's very active. We found out today that Israeli troops have moved into Gaza. That is soldiers on the ground as well as airstrikes. So, as we're looking at, yeah, as you see to the I guess the right of your screen, um, you're seeing it live. So, and I will run it through the whole show. Um, so, welcome. And, you know, to get off with some of the news, Scalise has now dropped out of the race uh, uh, for the seat for, boy, I'm lost of words. I'm sorry. Um, um, So he has dropped out and handed over to Jim Jordan. So Jim Jordan is probably going to be the next Speaker of the House. Uh, Now, folks, I have looked at this today. I've been tearful today. And, we have to stand up and have faith. We are in the day of rage in America, not just in America, but all over the globe. And all those who were listening overseas that happen to believe in eternal truth, we stand today and are lucky enough to live in a moment of history where um, um, we live in a moment of history. The choice we make today will echo not only throughout our life, but throughout generations. Yet with the unborn, they're going to be looking at this in how many generations down the road. This will make history. World War I, World War II, the Depression, oppressions in many countries. This is history. It's division worldwide. Do you support? Do you support a massacre or not? People live in a time like this. We have to recognize it's a necessity now more than ever to choose of not only encompasses not only the physical sanity, but reclaiming of the moral and ethical standards we have seemingly just slipped through our collective fingers. Our national debt surmounts 33 trillion. Do Are we worried about that right now? No, everybody's got their eyes on Israel. We have corruption um, that's affecting our children, our grandchildren, the yoke of financial burdens. And yet, they didn't create this financial burden that we have on ourselves. Did you create it? I don't even know. But they're spending money on an administrative state and the bloated unaccountability. They just keep printing and printing and printing. Are we for this or are we against it? People that we send continue on a meta spending, infiltrating every aspects of our life, crafting rules without our consent. When did that happen? I thought it came on a vote. And exercising a power that rightfully belongs to us. Furthermore, you are seeing now the erosion of timeless and foundational truths in our society, the very moral fiber that has held us together, held us a quilt not only in a nation, but globally. And we were together on this, but now we're seeing a split just because of Israel. Where's your morals, ethics, your heart? We have seen the massacre of babies. Is this right? Do you believe? Do you stand behind that this was should have happened? I meet people every day, and they ask me the same question about um, trust and how do I know what stories are true? How do I know the media's even media outlets? How can I trust? Um, how can we even trust anybody that's putting anything out when there's so much propaganda? And it's really sad that the propaganda has hit our nation, but not just our nation. How much propaganda goes around the world? This is I haven't really been paying attention to what's going on there, but you've heard the sirens, you've heard the explosions. Um, oh boy! And I thought I wanted to bring this to you because this is what everybody wants to see. They want to see what's going on. They want to know what's going on in Gaza. So who do we trust? Do we trust the propaganda? The propaganda um, is when you see propaganda, folks, you know there's dictators. They're only letting you see what they want you to see. And then there's those of us, Karen says, investigators news is about truth. We are. And if I'm wrong, I'm not afraid to admit it. The last show, I had to come out and say, oops, yeah, I'm not afraid to fall on my sword. But, trust me, do your own homework. You have to look and you got to put into your hearts and your family what really matters. Um, it's based on merit, it's based on truth, it's based on uh, faith. And I said, stand up at the beginning of this and said, stand up. We have got to start standing up and saying, we need to have the truth. If we can't have this administration give us the truth, it's not worth having. Oh boy. Boy, they're busy on the right of me, huh? Um, the thing is how I started this was our generation of our kids. Right now, we're in a moment of history. This will be history like 9/11, like World War One, World War Two, Vietnam. Will we learn from this? I don't know. But right now, I know that there is places all over the globe tonight that says jihad. Why? Why would these people support the massacre that's happening in Gaza? I don't understand. I can read everything I can read. I can look into every news report, but nobody's telling me why the massacre is being accepted globally. And then as Iran vows to escalate the war against Iran, or Iran, Iran vows to escalate the war against Israel. Hamas uh, is going full board. Everything they got. Hezbollah, firing rockets and missiles into northern Israel. And with protesters erupting across the Middle East, they're now filling the streets of cities all over the globe. Should our leaders of globally, because I know I have got viewers from all over the globe, a lot in Pakistan, uh, should the leaders be standing up and saying no? We're not going to let this happen. Should New York, instead of blocking the synagogues with police, shouldn't we just be saying, no, you can't riot? How many times over the last, Karen's listening, how many times in the last 5 years, because we're going on 5 years, did we see protests that led to riots? Even in the 60s, the 70s, the protests always lead to riots. They want to burn things. Why? Why do they want to burn? Why do they want to loot? Well, it's a free for all. They can get free stuff. And who is it that's doing this? And now and we know who's doing it. We know Antifa and Black Lives Matter, and we know they're all doing it. But now, who is standing for Hamas? Who is standing for folks, I seen the pictures, I seen the images of women and children. And oh my God, I don't know if it brought me to my knees. I don't know if it brought tears to my eyes. But these are terrorists, and and a call for people to support those that killed um, these people. And yeah, let's have a jihad. They support this Hamas terrorist, and this is all over the world. I'm pretty sure they can hold their own. I'm pretty sure they can massacre. I don't think they need the support of everybody saying, "Go get them, go get them, go get who." And I'm almost afraid to say anything because my shows have been so pulled this week. Do we want a jihad? Do we want the hate? And these are haters. This is pure evil. I'm going to agree. And we don't even have to agree with the leaders of Israel. We don't even have to listen to the people in Gaza that lost family members. We just know this is evil. When I've seen what I've seen, oh boy, um, I've seen burnt babies, babies that were newborn to 9 months old. I mean, we're talking burnt to a crisp. And I just, I, I, I can't imagine the type of person that would support this. And as we go into today and tonight, yeah, let's call jihad. Let's support them. Do they realize what they're supporting? I think they do. That's what's scary. And like I mentioned before, this is going to go down in history. Do these people really want to get like Tiob and half our Congress or more than half our Congress and Senate? Do they want to go down in history of support of a massacre? Really? Do we want these people in power? These people are monsters. They hunt down and attack anybody. It doesn't matter. It's not the fact they're hunting Jews. It's the fact they're going after anybody that's there. It would be one thing if you want to single out the Jewish nation, okay? But when you are killing Americans, when you're killing, what was it? We seen people from Japan, from all Japan, and even Palestinians that don't want to be a part of these monsters. They killed them too. How many? We looked in at ISIS, and ISIS flags were found in the southern part of Israel, close to the border, the Gaza, Egypt border, where they were flying ISIS flags. You remember what ISIS did, folks? They beheaded people, and we had to watch it. This is sick. And I don't mean to just dwell on this, and I don't mean to put this out because I know everybody's looking for the info. The info's right there in front of you in these pictures. Today, the IDF told people in Gaza, northern part of Gaza, to get out. And then, so what does Hamas do? Oh, they're going to hold them hostage. They're not going to let them go. They're not going to let them go to safety. Yeah, and these people and these protesters support this. Yeah, if they were over there, would they hold on to Palestinians or Jewish and not let them go to safety? Want to see them all blown up? This is a boy. Um, we had Blinken over there yesterday talking with Netanyahu. Now, I never realized Blinken had a Jewish background. I think this is ripping him apart too, because he's part of an administration that doesn't care about this. And I'm glad I have this because this started just a couple hours ago. And um, I, Susan, thank you. Um, let me put this up. I'm all for free speech, but death for another nation and death to a group of individuals should never be tolerated. Isn't that what BLM stands for? Don't just single out one group of people racially, or um, is it the fault of a 9-month old baby because it was a Palestinian Jewish baby that it deserves to die? Who makes that choice? I know this is a lot of this is biblical because me and Williams did a show on this, and it is biblical. I mean, we were told it was going to happen. We were told that eventually Israel would see of a war that would bring us to our knees. I don't know if that's biblically saying, but that's what I have always believed, that we would see something so horrific um, around the globe, and not just Israel, but around the globe, that would make us stop and think, do we really need these leaders in power that um, say this is okay? I think we're coming up on an election in less than a year. Start looking at these Congress and Senate with a whole new look. Start looking at them and call their offices and say, hey, did you support this and why? I've been calling them, and I just get heartbroken over the whole thing. But we got 1 year, folks, to figure out who's who. Because if we go into this election and we have these bloodthirsty politicians, can you imagine what they're going to go after next? Is it Christians? Is it parents? Will it be some small culture, like, let's say they're mad at Hawaii? They don't like Hawaiians anymore. What about if they don't like Alaskans? What if they don't like Asians? What if they don't like uh, dogs? They get this. What if they don't like dogs and they're going to do away with all the dogs in the world, or the cats? We just don't know. Now it's all this in history is now we're looking at a decision of who are we going to stand for. And is now we had BLM came out and they're definitely going forward with this. BLM says that they're fascist, they're Marxist, and they will back up the Palestinian people. Now, is it people or is it Hamas? Now, folks, I want to. We need to clarify this. Who is it? Are they supporting the people of Palestinians, or are they backing up Hamas? And but then when you read their signs, and I know that one of the things I can't say is we probably got blocked on, is the hatred, because who's telling them to GAS the Jews? Who's telling them to do that? I mean, who made those signs? And these were printed signs. So who did it? And they're doing it in Germany too. And as today and tonight rolls on, we got New York, we got Chicago, we got Denver, we got LA, um, uh, London, um, over there, Jordan, um, quite a few places all over the globe, Afghanistan, um, Pakistan. Everybody is making their stand today on on Friday the 13th of all days. Everybody's making the stand and saying, this is what I am. And when they do this, folks, this is the one thing they don't realize is now they've claimed to be Muslim. Because even up in Dearborn, that's what they're claiming. The people standing up around the globe they are proud to see, because these are the people that are standing up and saying, I'm Muslim, and Everyone else needs to go. Everyone else needs to go. It's written in the Quran. I've told you about that. I may lose viewers today. I may have lost a few because of last night. I lost my show last night. But you know what? I push on because I want everyone to know the truth and the truth of what's really going on. Now, the head leader of Hamas has been killed. That's what they're saying. Um, and um, Now, William, you might on this next one, you might know a little bit about, um, and a lot of people don't think about it. When's the last time the Army Special Forces used the Green Beret? Now, you know that old John Wayne movie, The Green Beret. That's about when you heard about this. They're some of the most elite fighters in the world. And forces didn't exist in the way we knew them until 1952. The Special Forces, in the lineage of the first Special Service Force, continued on, um, according to Army records. A combined U.S. Canadian unit was originally formed to conduct unconventional warfare in um, basically Germany occupying Norway. So we didn't really hear about the Green Berets until World War II. And we heard a little bit about them in Vietnam, and then everything went quiet. Unless you watch the John Wayne movie with the Green Berets. I suggest you go watch it this weekend. So, yeah, even Iraq. William says Iraq um, and Afghanistan having these protests. I call them riots anymore, folks, because they're not being nice. They're not peaceful. They are very radical. And when you hold up signs saying to hurt somebody else, that is not peaceful. When you're peaceful, you just march and you hold up a few signs about your cause. You don't talk about hurting people. That's where the difference was made. And this difference became available when I Cannot Breathe or I Can't Breathe came out, which was a farce. All right, the Green Berets. I'm ready to stick with the Green Berets. um, what about top celebrities that came out like Madonna and there's a few others that they were all for this. Now they got quiet. You notice everybody got really quiet. You know what got quiet? And I wasn't worried about the celebrities and the politicians. You know what got quiet? China, North Korea. That's what I worry about for you. I don't sleep at nights for you guys because when China goes quiet and North Korea and uh, Russia, Yemen, and other places, I worry because when they go quiet, they're up to something. You know how you get kids and they'll disappear. And it's like my puppies, I swear. They disappear and they get quiet. And you're like, all right, what are you getting into? And then you find out they're getting into something. Well, that's how I feel when it gets quiet. We're so busy with Israel that even me and William, when it gets noisy in Israel now, we have to go look and find out why China's being quiet. Why is North Korea being quiet? Who else is being quiet? Where's Zelensky lately? Well, Zelensky's thinking about going ahead and saying, let's end the war. Now, that's different. What did I say 2 days ago? He's looking for money. Today, he's saying, well, maybe we should make some negotiations. See, nobody knew about that. It was listed very quiet. Boy, the skies are busy. I keep seeing down the corner of my eye, and I'm seeing flash, flash, siren, siren, flash, flash. Um, so that to me, The top celebrities, who gives a crap? Oh, there they go again. Boy, the sirens are crazy. Um, so top celebrities, does it make a difference if Cher or Madonna, what their opinion of this is? I don't know. Oh boy, that's pretty right there. Now, Bernie Sanders accuses Israel war crimes. Boy, this one here got me because where's Bernie Sanders been lately? He said, you know what, the war crimes, you know what, we need to go easy on Hamas, according to Bernie Sanders. Yeah, uh, and he, in his statement, Sanders criticized Hamas for its murderous rampage, but the gunning down of young Israelis at a music festival, well, that wasn't so right, he wrote. But people of goodwill throughout the world, we need some brave Israelis. And they have struggled. Gaza has struggled. Palestinian has struggled. And he noted that it's no secret that Gaza has been an open air prison with millions of people struggling. We've all struggled, folks. See, that's what, hasn't Bernie Sanders seen the struggles of the homeless or those out of work here in our own country? He's worried about the struggles of Palestinians. Now, it's wise to worry about the struggles because remember we sent all that food to Somalia when they were starving. But don't side with a massacre. You know, and remember, was her name Gabrielle Karen? I've talked about her a few times. She was a Palestinian, folks, and I really believe that Bernie Sanders needs to listen to her story because she was a Palestinian and suffering, and she was suffering due to the radical Palestinians that made her and her family life a living hell. And they were being fed by Israelis. They were getting uh, their medical and all that from Israelis. And then one day they decided they're going to throw some bombs out there. And her and her family had to hide. And they hid, kind of like, oh boy, Anne Frank, to where, little food and you're hiding in a closet with your family for a month or so. And eventually they fled into Israel as Palestinians. And they loved the Palestinian people, but they didn't like what they had become, is what she said. They have become hateful, she said. If I'll see if I can find this, folks, this interview with her. You guys need to listen to her because this really coincides with what we're seeing these last few days of what are the Palestinians going through, the ones that don't want to live this. Well, they're being told to flee, they're told to run. But what happens when your own people are holding you hostage? See, are we protesting? Yeah, yeah. Let's hold our own Palestinian people that just don't agree with the massacre. Let's hold them hostage, and we're going to blow them up. Really? When do you do that? That just don't make no sense. And I don't think Bernie Sanders really understands. Germany offers military aid to Israel, vows to crack down on um, um, Hamas. Oh boy, I guess I need to pull this up. Um, Cracks down on Hamas terrorist support. What? Really? Germany was given to Hamas? I read that and I said, what? Now, I mean, I can understand with it. I can understand it. Uh, maybe. But Germany became the first European country to offer direct military aid to Israel on Thursday, while promising a crackdown on Hamas terrorist supporters at home. They're no longer going to give anything to them. I read these articles and I just shake my head going, what were you thinking? Wasn't it a few months ago that we seen our own government saying, be nice to the Palestinians? We're not going to support Israel. We're going to, we might need to help out the Palestinians. What you don't realize is the same way with Iran, same way with Ukraine or Russia or anybody we give aid to. The aid is supposed to go to the people, but it don't. What you find out, like with Haiti, they get the money and they buy the aid, and the aid goes to the soldiers that are on the front lines or to the military itself. Whatever's left, then they give it to the people. So don't think if you're with this military aid that we vote in all the time the millions and billions, trillions that we give to other countries, just like U.S. aid. U.S. aid, it may go for humanitarian aid, but if it goes to, let's say, Africa, more than likely they're going to use it for their military because they need it humanitarian to keep their soldiers fit enough to be able to fight their cause. Um, Now, I was surprised with Hochul. I think that's how you pronounce her name, the governor of New York. And we got to look at the Friday the 13th um, protests. And what she did is she called all of, and I haven't heard of any other state but New York do this, where they called in every police officer they could to not only stand in front of the synagogues to protect them, but to be out on the streets. And Hochul is one. Now, I don't care much for her as a governor, but you have to give her kudos for this. Um, um, Now, when we look at uh, what came out with yesterday, because I know I didn't get a lot of the info out on this. The Israel President Herzog, when you protect your home, you're right. You're in the right. And what they've seen going on, and he means this for all of Israel, he said, whether it's Gaza or whether it's the Palestinian, you do have a right to protect your home. And I said this last night, and I don't know if y'all caught it, but CNN questioned war crimes of international law, and he basically, how dare you? He said they were claiming that maybe them striking out and killing innocent civilians with the Palestinians was a war crime. And he said, "You really have your nerve. This isn't." He says, "Not about international law. This is this isn't a war. This is a massacre. If this was a war, they would not be breaking the Geneva Convention. A war pays attention and does their P's and Q's with the Geneva Convention. They do not massacre people." And he said, "Why aren't you looking at Ukraine as they bomb and missile and strike civilians in their own states that's part of Ukraine? Only because they're Russian and Ukraine." So he says the same thing. He said every day for the last year, how many times have they had airstrikes from Hamas or Hezbollah that went into Israel? He said no one came to help, but everyone questioned Israel with their Iron Dome stopping these and then sending missiles and uh, missiles back. He said there's no mercy in terrorism. And when there's no mercy in terrorism, it's not a war. It's purely terrorism. This Herzog has got this right. He says you can't negotiate with terrorism. And they should release all the hostages immediately. And if they go to another country and another country harbors them, these countries should be have aid pulled. They should be sanctioned. And like I told you, they found ISIS flags. They found ISIS. What does ISIS do? And what do you say? This Hamas acts just like the terrorism that ISIS bestows. And then they find ISIS flags. ISIS, uh, it's not just about the flag, folks. It's about ISIS is fighting with Hamas. And when you got terrorism with terrorism, you're going to get terrorism, he says. He said not only that, they even found cartel. So ISIS, the cartel with Hamas. Now, how did the cartel end up in Israel, of all places? They're from Mexico. But yep, they're in Israel. Now, we did send over, and I found out that the B-1B Lancer bombers have been sent to Israel. They're also talking about the Second Fleet. We talked about that last night. And then, of all things, Hamas came out yesterday and said, we didn't do nothing. We didn't hurt anybody. We don't know how it happened, but we didn't kill these people down in um, um, Kfar Aza. They didn't do that, they said. Really. There's proof. It just goes to show you. And then to have Iran that now today is saying, you know what, we're going to join in the fight. We might back Hezbollah and join the fight. So now Israel is looking at maybe even having Iran insert themselves into this war. Now, how? Well, what gets me, folks, is what happens after? What happens after all of this? If they get rid of the Palestinians or Hamas, and we defeat them, and then we put a big hurt on Hezbollah, do they go after Iran? Would that be a war that we really want to invest in? So we have now we've got Ukraine and Russia that may be stopping soon, but we have even still have to take a look at China and see how we have to conserve our weapons, our ammunition, everything that we've been sending to everybody. Do we conserve and hold back, or do we insert ourselves in war after war after war? And that's a lot of the news of people and the news networks aren't talking about what happens after. And this is something, when you think of war, you think of before, you think of during, and you think of what happens after all of this. And Herzog said they know what they're going to do after the war, but they're not giving you the plan. They're not going to give you the plan. Are they going to go after Iran? Is it, Bibi Netanyahu has said yes. Eventually, they're going to have to go after Iran because Iran is so close to nuclear weapons. And what did they say they were going to do? We're going to give them to Hezbollah, we're going to give them to North Korea. We're going to give them to Russia. We're going to give them to China. They are um, a nuclear war waiting to happen. But not with them. Of course, they're not going to be, they're just going to give them out. So do we stop them and we do a war with them? Or do we let them hand these weapons out to uh, countries that we could see this all over again? Is China going to be fair? With North Korea, me and William so much talked about North Korea and Kim Jong Un and his sister. I don't think his sister would care. She would probably slaughter most of the South Koreans, and she wouldn't care what age. She'd do the same thing in Taiwan, the Philippines. That's how um, evil this is. Now everybody says, we need to find our heart and our morals, and this is not just what's in our heart and morals. This isn't. Um, it's more of a spiritual war because you have to come to terms of spiritually how we have to deal with these countries that want to kill other people. It's not just us. It's not. I look out for my viewers, like the ones in Pakistan or the ones I've got in Asia, or the resources I had. I lost my um, resource in Israel for 2 days before he hit me up and said, "Hey, I'm okay." What would North Korea? Would North Korea do this? What you're seeing on your screen? They would. Would China? China puts their own people in re-education camps. Would they massacre their own people? More than likely. What about NATO? We're looking NATO and Ukraine. Is it going to escalate to life doesn't matter anymore? Now, I know with Klaus Schwab and the World Economic Forum, they want to depopulate. Well, how cruel is that? But that's what they want to do, folks. So, what happens after? Does Israel go after Iran? Well, they should. Is Zelensky going to calm down and walk away from what they're doing? He's killing more of his own soldiers with not having the proper equipment, not having the proper food, not having the proper clothes. Why not just stop it? Well, then we have to look at China with Taiwan. Is China really going to invade? And what did they say? They want to um, go to Australia next, or maybe they're going to take over Africa. Does the life matter anymore and more? Well, we know there's casualties, but when we have war nowadays, and going back to what I said, this is history because this is a whole new way of fighting a war when you want to kill people. It's not just the soldiers anymore. The more you hurt people, the more you get people to bend in your direction. Um, wow. Um, but that is it for today. We got trivia coming up, folks. I got some great TV trivia coming up. And I really hope you share the show. And if you looked for last night's show, it was pulled. Um, we had some language, and I was not for that. I chastised him for it, and um, but don't. That's just one time, folks. That's one guest, and it. If you're wondering where I got this, and you guys can continue watching it, because I will not show it on my trivia show. This is Crux Live. And they do show a lot. They show the tanks movement. And I have found I watch Crux more than any of the other ones. Um, so, um, but I, like the other night, I I put this on live, and we didn't see much action, but we now know Israeli forces are now on the ground. The tanks are moving into Gaza, and there are missiles going up, being stopped by Iron Dome. That's, I think, a lot of what you're seeing. And then, of course, Israel firing back. So it's Friday the 13th. Don't let this don't let this bring you down, folks. Stand up, like I said. Stand up, have faith. Stand up and say, this, what's going on? You're a part of history. And I thank you all for watching and supporting me. And subscribe and hit the like button and ring my bell. Thumbs up. And we will see you on Monday. And so come on back in about 10 minutes for some trivia. And we're going to have some fun and a lot of laughter. So join us. It's TV Trivia.